Alright, I'm about to grad. I got like 15 job applications in. Let's see where they're at. No way, I already got one. Whoa, is that another one? That degree was pretty expensive, but not gonna lie, at least it's starting to pay off. Alright, another day, time to get some more resumes in. I did the interview a couple months ago. It felt like it went pretty well, but it feels like they completely ghosted me. Anyways, resume number 253. Hopefully this time's the charm. And we'll just click submit and wow, that was fast. So, I'm about to graduate from university, which means that aside from school, my days currently consist of three things. Firstly, making these YouTube videos that honestly I'm not even sure anybody's actually watching. Make sure to subscribe. But number two, applying to jobs that might or might not even exist. We don't talk about that. And lastly, opening Twitter or X or whatever it's called now and immediately seeing a headline explaining why my future's already cooked. I mean, I refresh my feed in the morning and it's just stuff like 236,000 people just filed for unemployment last week, or layoffs on track to be the worst since the Great Depression, or even my personal favorite, applying to a job in 2025 is statistically equivalent of hurling your resume into a black hole, according to Business Insider. Cool, awesome, love that. So I close the app, open LinkedIn or Indeed, try to get my hopes up and submit my 250th job application. And then 5 minutes later, I see a post about a brand new AI model that can apparently do the exact same job I just applied for, but faster, cheaper, and also probably without employee benefits. Oh wait, I forgot, we can't even say the word job anymore. Right, the J word or whatever. So yeah, let's talk about why the job market sucks. And not just in some just try harder or Gen Z is lazy way that boomers like to suggest, but more so in some what the hell is actually happening type of way. Because let's be honest, this right now does not feel like a normal bad economy. It low-key actually feels like something's starting to fall apart. So here's the stat I want to start off with. For the first time in about 40 years, recent college graduates have a higher unemployment rate than the general population. Yeah, so that's not supposed to happen. College was the deal. College was an insurance policy in a way. It was the thing that we were told would protect us. And now, hiring for new grads is pretty much flat. According to CNBC, postings for entry-level jobs in the US have overall declined about 35% since January 2023. And here's another fun stat from Business Insider. When you apply to a job today, you have about a 0.4% chance of getting into it. 0.4%. So if it feels harder than it should, that's probably because it is. This isn't just you being bad at resumes, this is a system level shift. And honestly, at this point, knowing my luck with 0.4% chances, I'd probably have better chances at winning the lottery than getting a job. So before we go any deeper, let's actually lay this out clearly, because from the inside, currently the job market just feels like chaos. And honestly, well, it kind of is. So there's a few big factors hitting us all at the same time, so let's go over them in the order of the biggest to the smallest in my personal opinion. Now, first and foremost, we have the main one right now, the one that we all dread, and that's AI. But right now it's not the science fiction, all jobs are gone type of version, not yet at least. AI is replacing the first layer of work, the stuff that new grads used to do while learning, like basic research, drafting, entry-level coding, scheduling and admin work, and all that type of stuff. Now companies realize that they can give these AI tools to senior employees and just completely skip hiring juniors. And to be fair, it does save companies a lot of time, hiring costs, training costs, wage costs, and also saves them from many inaccuracies and mistakes that new employees might have to make. It makes sense from the company's perspective, but at the same time, it screws us over. Now secondly, companies nowadays don't really care about your degree anymore. Like another headline I keep saying is, Americans no longer see 4-year degrees as worth the cost. And honestly, I get it, because right now, college graduates have the same job finding rate as high school graduates. That pretty much shows that degrees are worthless, but honestly, degrees didn't become worthless, they became baseline. According to ADP, over 90% of companies prefer making skill-based hires over degree-based hires. They want portfolios, certifications, experience. They want proof that you can already do the job, which is great in theory, except we were told that the degree was the proof. So at this point, I'm not exactly sure how you, or at least I, am supposed to have experience when the jobs that are supposed to give us experience are rejecting us for not having experience. But that's why over 50% of recent college grads are underemployed, and they're likely to stay that way even 10 years after their graduation. Not unemployed, but underemployed, meaning that they're working jobs that aren't relevant to their degree at all. So you might have a business major graduating and working at, let's say, McDonald's, or a computer science major graduating and working at Home Depot or stuff like that. And we see it all the time. It's hard to deny. And it's not really because they failed, but rather it's because right now, the first step of the ladder is missing. Now, thirdly, we have outsourcing. Now, if a job can be done remotely, usually it can be done cheaper somewhere else. So companies will outsource support, admin, analytics, or even technical work, or hire contractors instead of full-time employees and get the work done in countries with cheaper labor. Now, fourthly, we have post-COVID economic recovery. Now, this is more of an economic cycle where after 2020, companies went on a hiring binge. Remote work exploded, money was cheap, and growth felt infinite. Now, companies overhired in 2021 and 2022, especially in these white-collar roles. Now, this sucks for us in Gen Z because back then when overhiring was happening, most of us were actually in university or high school like me and not eligible for these roles. Now, we're on the other side of that, and instead of exploding, these companies are doing the opposite. They're cutting teams, freezing hiring, and prioritizing efficiency over growth. Nowadays, even if a company isn't failing, it's at least laying off, or at the very least, not hiring. And that alone shrinks the market and also adds in a lot more competition, which our final factor is a lot of these layoffs are feeding the competition loop. Every layoff puts thousands of experienced workers back into the market at once. So when you apply for a junior role, you're not just competing with other grads, you're also competing with people who already have experience, are willing to take pay cuts, and just need a job as soon as possible. And this is where it becomes a loop. Layoffs dump thousands of experienced workers back into the market, which raises competition for every role, which pushes requirements higher, squeezes out new grads, and also eventually leads to even more layoffs as companies optimize again. Now, another factor is ghost jobs. Honestly, I won't go deeper into this because I just made a video about this. Make sure to check that out right here. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is exactly why right now the job market feels impossible. Now, out of all of those factors, there's one specific factor that kind of concerns me a bit more, and that's AI. But right now, AI isn't mainly replacing CEOs, it's replacing entry-level work. So like I mentioned before, data entry, basic research, scheduling, first drafts, stuff like that. And that's why right now you'll see a lot of these headlines where it says HP plans to fire 10% of its workforce as a part of their AI push, or Salesforce cuts thousands as AI steps in, and a lot more headlines like that, because companies figured out they can give AI tools to their senior staff and completely just skip hiring juniors. And right now, that's how you can have all these layoff announcements, a job market that's barely hiring at all, and at the same time, a stock market that's still going up. But the part that concerns me here is right now, this isn't about just one bad quarter or even one bad year or even a couple bad years. Right now, for a lot of companies, this is about restructuring, and it creates a bottleneck. If there's no entry-level jobs, how do you even become mid-level or even go further in the corporate ladder? You don't. This isn't exactly a recession in the old sense. It's straight up jobless growth. And that is not exactly a good thing. So here's another thing that doesn't show up in headlines. Entering a bad job market doesn't just hurt right now, it follows you. A lot of economists call it economic scarring. If you graduate into a weak market, you'll probably earn less over your lifetime. Not for a year, not for a phase, but for decades. And because your starting salary is probably lower, your raises compound from a smaller base, and you lose leverage early. That scar doesn't just magically heal itself. And another trend that really concerns me right now is a lot of companies are using AI to completely wipe out the first step of the ladder. And if the first step of the ladder is gone, you can't exactly jump straight to the middle. You need training, you need time, and you need someone willing to invest in you. And right now, companies are quietly deciding that they don't want to do this anymore. And this isn't a temporary glitch. It's jobless growth where once again, profits are rising, productivity rises, but at the same time, hiring doesn't. In hindsight, I probably should have just gone to trade school. And the worst part, this might actually continue to get worse. So let's talk about that future that CEOs keep pitching like it's a good thing. The one-person unicorn. This idea that the next generation of billion-dollar companies won't have teams. They'll have one extremely capable founder sitting at a laptop managing a fleet of AI agents that do everything else. No juniors, no assistants, no middle management, just one visionary with a lot of software. And even though it does sound like it, this isn't just some fringe conspiracy theory, by the way. Even Sam Altman, the CEO of OpenAI, you know, the company that runs ChatGPT, has openly talked a lot about this future where a single person can run entire billion-dollar companies.
I think it is probably possible now to start a company that is a one-person company that will go on to be worth like more than $1 billion, and more importantly than that, deliver an amazing product and service to the world.
And let's be honest, investors love it, venture capitalists love it, and boards, well, they absolutely love it. And from a CEO's perspective, it's perfect. No salaries, no benefits, no training costs, no turnover, no people problems. Why hire 10 juniors, which will probably mess up and complain and take personal time off and all of that, when one senior with AI tools can probably do the work faster, cheaper, and without needing health insurance? But here's the problem. If no one hires juniors, who eventually becomes the seniors? Because let's be honest, experience doesn't just appear. You don't just wake up one day with 5 years of industry knowledge. You get it by doing the boring work first, by being bad first, by being trained. And companies are quietly deciding that they don't want to do that anymore. They're optimizing for the present quarter and outsourcing the future. And that's what people mean when they say that companies are eating their own seed corn. Like a farmer eating seeds meant for next year's crops instead of planting them, companies are replacing us to boost short-form efficiency, but eventually, in the long term, they're destroying the pipeline that produces future experts. So instead of a career ladder, right now you get a cliff. And Gen Z is the generation told to just get experience in a world where the jobs that used to give it are currently being deliberately are being erased. And there's also the stuff that no spreadsheet actually captures. The pressure to pretend that you're fine, but there is the feeling that you're falling behind before you even ever started. Over half of Gen Z feels that they are being pressured to fake financial stability. So we have to adapt. We freelance, we stack side gigs, we burn out quietly, not because we want to, but because the system doesn't give us another option right now. And let's zoom out. Going into 2026, if you're Gen Z growing up in America, you have no universal healthcare, no universal childcare, unaffordable college with a lot of student debt, unaffordable housing, unaffordable groceries, and the average entry-level salary is about $43,000. And that is if you even get a job. And good luck on getting promotions and all of that, or even just keeping that job. And remember all of that stuff I said about economic scarring, which is exactly how you end up with delayed home ownership, delayed families, delayed retirement, and a generation soft saving because we literally can't even afford to plan long term. So all in all, no, the job market doesn't suck because you're lazy despite what every boomer's probably said to you, and it doesn't suck because your resume font is wrong, or whatever cliche BS people say. It sucks because the system is reorganizing itself in a way that doesn't need you yet, and might not even ever need you. We, Gen Z, were told to prepare for a world that no longer exists, and now we're graduating into one that's still being built. And lately, it feels like it's being built without us in mind. And that's a terrifying place to start adulthood. And I'm going to say the quiet part out loud because honestly, I don't feel like anybody else is. If AI keeps getting better, and it probably will, then it doesn't stop just at junior work and entry-level roles. Middle management and supervisory roles are next, which means more layoffs, more experienced workers flooding the market, and also less opportunity at every level. And at that point, it's fair to ask, if juniors are going first and seniors are next, then what's left? Because long term, that doesn't look like a healthy job market. It looks like a society that's eventually going to split into two groups: the rich and everyone else.